if you're one of these people who's active on various forms of social media, you'll have no doubt seen the news, or the rumours, should I say, rather than the news, but you'll have no doubt seen the rumours about a fight between Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao. Now, if I'm honest, Amir Khan versus Manny Pacquiao is probably one of those fights that I'll get more excited for once it's actually been announced, as opposed to at rumour stage, because it seems to be one of those fights that's periodically discussed. You know, every 18 to 24 months, I'd say there's some sort of rumour that Manny Pacquiao versus Amir Khan will happen. I even remember, you know, last time round, I may even have made a video on it a few years ago, there was supposed to be some meet up at a hotel in London to discuss terms. Now, depending on where you see the rumours, there's a suggestion that this is a crazy money fight out in the UAE. There's also a suggestion the fight will be held in Amir Khan's hometown of Bolton. Now, UAE is another one where you always hear about these ridiculous money offers coming in from the UAE, but they never actually seem to accumulate. You know, they never seem to come to anything, is what I'm trying to get at. I mean, in the time that I'm watching boxing, I can't recall off the top of my head a mega fight that's gone out to the UAE. You know, there's all this talk about how many billionaires out there are prepared to stump up a huge wad of cash to put a big fight on, but I'm yet to see a Floyd Mayweather or a Manny Pacquiao fight out in the UAE. Appreciate Manny Pacquiao has fought out in Macau, etc. But yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. For me, it's actually a fight that makes sense for both. You know, from Manny Pacquiao's perspective, I understand he's got a fight tentatively penciled in with Jeff Horn, but it seems to be very, very dubious as to whether that fight is actually going ahead or is confirmed. You know, it's pretty unfair on Jeff Horn, I've got to say, if he's under the impression he's got a Manny Pacquiao fight, because he's obviously going to believe that's a life-changing opportunity. But there seems to be all sorts of suggestion that that fight may or may not be going ahead. And I guess if Manny Pacquiao were to withdraw from that fight or those negotiations for whatever reason, then Amir Khan would certainly be a bigger name. And you'd have to assume would be a greater commercial opportunity than a fight against Jeff Horn, who is a relatively unknown operator who a lot of hardcore boxing fans don't even know. You know, Amir Khan versus Manny Pacquiao is a very, very big fight. It's a fight where Manny Pacquiao would be taking on someone who is coming off a very, very heavy loss. In fact, a knockout loss. It's a fight where Manny Pacquiao would be taking someone coming down in weight class. It's a guy he's very, very familiar with in Amir Khan from the time that they trained and even sparred together. And it's a guy with punch resistance problems. So from Manny Pacquiao's perspective, it's got to be an attractive fight. It's a much bigger commercial opportunity financially for him. It's a beatable opponent coming off a loss, dropping down in weight, who he's familiar with. You've got to understand why that fight does make sense to Manny Pacquiao. From Amir Khan's perspective, similarly, he's facing a guy who, at best, is in the autumn of his career. He's facing a guy who would be perceived to be the smaller man in Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao is one of those guys where he's such a big name and he's such a big entity that if Amir Khan were to pull the upset and get the victory over Manny Pacquiao, it would be a career-defining win. It would be a win that, you know, probably would make him a Hall of Famer. It would be a win that would have him featuring in people's pound-for-pound list, and it's certainly a win that would have him, you know, propelled right to the top of the sport again in terms of name and in terms of resume. You know, a lot of people are very quick to write off Manny Pacquiao, but I still think his recent form has been relatively strong. Particularly, I was impressed by his win against Tim Bradley. And, you know, I've always been a Tim Bradley advocate. I've always believed Tim Bradley is someone with, you know, truly elite capabilities and skills. So, you know, I thought Pacquiao took care of business very, very, very well in that the recent fight against Tim Bradley. So yeah, depending on who you speak to, Manny Pacquiao is still the #1 welterweight in the world. Depending on who you speak to, Manny Pacquiao is still the pound-for-pound #1 in the world. And, you know, clearly an opportunity like that for Amir Khan to get the job done against an older man, to get the job done against a smaller man, to get a job done against a man, you know, who really is in the autumn of his career, is a chance that he can't miss. You know, with Amir Khan seemingly not going for the Kell Brook fight at this stage, you've got to ask how many big fights are there for Amir Khan. You know, Garcia, Furman, they're tied up fighting each other. Obviously, he's just lost to Canelo. He's not taking the Kell Brook fight. Floyd Mayweather's out of the equation. You know, there's some suggestion that he could potentially get a fight with Adrian Broner, a rematch with Lamont Peterson. I mean, granted, those are pretty good fights. But for me, in terms of the opportunity for Amir Khan, both in terms of commercial and in terms of legacy and legend, you know, a fight against Manny Pacquiao is a fight that can take him to all new levels. It'd be fascinating to see if that fight is made, who would be the broadcaster. You know, I don't know if Box Nation and BT Sports could put in a big money offer. Perhaps Amir Khan would work with Eddie Hearn, you know, and get something going on Sky. Appreciate that negotiation seems to have been tense between Amir Khan and Kell Brook, but there's always seemed to be some sort of grudging respect between Eddie Hearn and Amir Khan, so perhaps something could be done on the Sky side, or who knows, maybe it could even be another ITV box office, or, you know, there's other players now, isn't there? Channel 5, Box Nation, Dave, you know, obviously I'm being slightly sarcastic when I say that Khan Pacquiao could end up in Dave, but you get my point. There's options out there now. So, you know, let's see if this fight gets made. I'm always dubious when fights like this that are talked about for a long time and talked about on several separate occasions, and, you know, don't get made, and then they don't get made, and then there's a rumour they're going to get made again. But perhaps it's the right timing for both guys. You know, perhaps it's a fight that they both view as winnable. Perhaps it's a big financial opportunity for both guys, and yeah, it may just be that the timing's right for this one. If the fight were to get made, I guess the obvious question, and it is rumoured for May, if the fight were to be confirmed, one of the obvious questions would be, you know, realistically, who's going to win the match? And I'd have to say that at this stage, I would still be picking Manny Pacquiao as a strong favourite over Amir Khan. Now, I appreciate Khan is the younger guy, but Khan, for me, has taken some heavy knocks in his career recently. And I know Manny Pacquiao's done that in the past. You know, he's had losses early on in his career, lost to Mayweather, the heavy knockout loss to Juan Manuel Marquez. But for me, Manny Pacquiao has shown that he can bounce back. You know, his win against Tim Bradley was real top-class form still, I believe. Amir Khan, for me, there's a bit of a question mark about him after that Canelo Alvarez loss. You know, that is a big loss and a big knockout defeat he suffered at the hands of Canelo. And, you know, I'd want to see some proof in the ring that he's still going to be the same fighter after that, because let's be honest and let's have it right, that's not the first devastating knockout that Amir Khan suffered in the course of his career. A guy like Manny Pacquiao, in some ways, you could probably argue that it's in fact, I think you could make a very strong argument that it's the highest level operator Amir Khan's ever been in with. I guess Canelo is comparable, maybe Danny Garcia is comparable, but for me, in terms of achievements, resume, and, you know, complete class, I think Manny Pacquiao would be the hardest fight of Amir Khan's career. And realistically, I think Amir Khan has holes defensively, has holes in the area of his chin, and, you know, really has some holes when there's a lot of pressure on him. You know, he's a guy who's quite a clean, crisp boxer from range. But, you know, if Manny Pacquiao was able to dart in and dart out and get work off close and then get out, that's a style that could potentially cause Khan, you know, a huge amount of problems. So I'd make Manny Pacquiao a favourite in the fight, and if I'm honest, I'd make him a relatively substantial favourite. I'd probably be something like 75-25 in favour of Manny Pacquiao. I just believe that Manny Pacquiao isn't quite as faded as some people think, and I actually think there's a relative chance that Amir Khan could be a bit faded and could be potentially past his peak after another crushing loss by defeat. But certainly it's a fight I'd get excited for. Certainly it's a fight that I'd be properly pumped for. And if it were to be made, what a 2017 we're having so far. You know, De Gale versus Jack, Santa Cruz versus Frampton. You know, fights like that already been and gone. Garcia Furman, David Haye, Bellew. Obviously that's not the same 50-50 matchup. Klitschko Joshua, Brooks Spence. You know, if you threw this matchup into the equation, it would be a real top patch of, you know, boxing for us fans to enjoy. But let me know your thoughts, people. Will this fight happen? If it does happen, who wins? If you've enjoyed the video, please take the time to hit the thumbs up button. And if you haven't done so before, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. There'll be my logo somewhere on the screen right now, so click on that and you can press subscribe. Many thanks indeed for watching again. Appreciate it.